There are two different ways to fire precious metal clay. You can use a hand blowtorch or you can put it in a kiln. And today we're going to look at both of those techniques to see if there's any difference in them. I've made some little starfish out of precious metal clay. I've used this silicone mold, and this is one of the silver clay in the little mold. And you would take it out like this, and then you need to clean it up, remove any excess, make those edges really smooth if that's the look you're going for. And what we're going to do now is we will fire one of the starfish in the kiln, and we will fire one of the starfish using the blowtorch. Let's do our torch firing first. Let's burn you. We've fired our precious metal clay for 3 minutes and then just leave it to cool. Meanwhile, we are going to put this starfish in the kiln at 600 degrees centigrade for 30 minutes. We've put our piece of precious metal clay into the kiln. It's been in the kiln for 30 minutes and we're now going to take it out and see what it looks like. Okay. Just going to leave them on there just to cool. It's probably not recommended, by the way. These are our two fired pieces of precious metal clay. This one is the kiln fired one, and this is the blowtorch one. It's quite difficult to remember which one's which because they both look really similar. So there are some differences in the pieces themselves. So I put the precious metal clay into the mold. I wasn't overly careful with how I did it, and I didn't clean them up too much because we weren't sure how the experiment would go. So these are virtually identical. There's a little bit difference in the size maybe, but I think that was because they were different sizes when they, pre-being fired. I'm gonna use the brass brush or a wire metal brush to gently go over the surfaces to see any differences there. This is the blowtorched piece, and I'm just taking the wire brush and going over it. And this brings out all the detail. And then I'll just take the wire brush and go over the kiln fired one. So this was in the kiln for 30 minutes on 600 and it is solid. This I used the blowtorch on for 3 minutes and it's absolutely solid. We had a go at kiln firing precious metal clay, and then we had a go at blowtorching precious metal clay, exactly the same shape, just 2 different techniques. And I would say they turned out almost identical. Perhaps if you had lots of items of precious metal clay that you wanted to fire all at the same time, you could use a kiln to do so. The advantage of having a kiln is that you can put all of those items in the kiln and then you're free to leave and do something else for 30 minutes. When you're blowtorching, you do have to be really careful that you don't melt the precious metal clay. Be really cautious with that torch to make sure that you don't overheat. But essentially, you can achieve exactly the same results.